the main story of the day, not just from a sports perspective, as Kara Sewell mentioned during midday just a couple of minutes ago. This is a major story, big picture. The fact that the Dallas Stars and Dallas Mavericks are leaving downtown Dallas, this is a huge, huge, huge development.
Yeah,
100%. And I think, as we look at the fabric of the city, it's kind of what we talked about a little bit yesterday, but these sports teams are such drivers of traffic. Oh, I don't mean traffic like with the cars.
You're
I
about
mean,
to.
Human.
You're about to.
Human, just what people do with their time.
Mm-hmm.
You think about the fact that this was as you said, the American Airlines Center had the ability to host both teams, and that took up a good portion of the calendar year, right? Like at least a third of it. So, or close to. So yeah, it's just a huge development. And I think from a overall economic, like a tax standpoint, just a demographic standpoint, a geographic standpoint, like there are so many layers to it.
Yeah, there was a story I was reading in the DMN, I believe it was, earlier this morning, talking about just the concept of these stadiums and the way that they can be magnets for humans. And one of the architects that they were talking to in this story said, listen, this has been the case since the Colosseum in Rome. For thousands of years, this type of venue has been a magnet for people. And that's the backs, that is the back of which all of professional sports has made its millions and millions and millions and billions of dollars, is the fact that they are incredible draws for people. And now all of these teams want their own pie. They don't want a piece of the pie. They want their own pie.
It's an important distinction, though, that there's only one Coliseum that's left, and it's in pretty bad disrepair at this point. Everyone wants to be that lasts the test of time, where it's kind of a wonder of the world. But there's also the alternative on the Olympic side, where, and granted, that's the extreme example where these venues are crafted basically to host something special, worldwide, global, for once every 4 years. But white elephants are a big thing, where they build stadium complexes that then lay dormant because they physically cannot support themselves past where the Olympics go. That's on the different end of the spectrum. But somewhere in between is what could happen when you keep building these venues over a very short period of time, where in 5 years we're going to have, 7 buildings that anyone can eventually go to, not necessarily even to do sports, but you're talking concerts, so many other options. So, there's a lot of money going into this. It's just the returns of it is the fascinating element of it.
Well, and the other factor in all of this, and part of why the AAC isn't attractive anymore to either the Mavs or the Stars, I think goes all the way back to the 90s in Ross Perot. He owns all of the land immediately around the AAC. He owns the parking. He owns a lot of the buildings that are in that immediate vicinity. The teams do not. So they can't monetize it the same way that they will be able to if they can go build their own thing, their own arena, their own entire entertainment district, like the Mavs plan to do at Valley View, like the Stars plan to do at the Shops at Willow Bend, because now they can take the 365-day-a-year revenue that is going to come from everything that's going to be on this property, not just the sporting event, and claim it for themselves. They don't have, even if only one of them had stayed, let alone the fact that they have to split the AAC as it is right now, that's beside the point. It's all of the other things. Like, they don't own Hero. They don't own the whatever the other restaurant is that replaced the old WFA studio, Urban Italia or something like that.
Yeah.
They don't own those things. They can now, when they build these new properties, they'll be able to own all of it, and everything will have to funnel through their channels, and they'll get a cut of everything.
We've got Cole waiting because obviously,
yes,
we have to talk Cole here.
I was trying to wait for Jason Whiteley to join, but Jason Whiteley will be here shortly. So let's get Cole in here, and we'll bring Jason Whiteley in shortly as well. Cole, you've been on this beat now for a while. WFA reporter Cole Sullivan making his 4th appearance on the show, so you know him by now. and second consecutive day, by the way, after the Mavs did this
We've
a couple
got
of
to
days
stop
ago. Now
meeting like this,
Yes,
guys. We've got
yes,
to stop
this
meeting
is-
in these circumstances. Come on.
What do you
All
know
these
about the
teams-
Cowboys moving? What's going on? No.
I know
Stop
nothing.
it.
I am a Dallas guy. I report in Dallas. You got to call someone from Arlington about that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So Cole Sullivan's here. Jason Whiteley will join us here momentarily. He's wrapping up another interview for his real job, and then he'll come hang with us for a little bit. Cole, what do you make of especially the back-to-back days nature of all of this? It felt like kind of a 1-2 to downtown Dallas of just
absolutely.
real body blows.
1-2 punch to downtown Dallas. And we still haven't heard from some downtown leaders who are quick usually to proclaim success when they have victories. The last 48 hours for folks who represent downtown and champion downtown have sent them reeling. There's no other way to put it. They are radio silent. I called another one this morning and no answer yet. This has been a 1-2 punch for downtown Dallas. And that punch yesterday from the Stars hits all of the city of Dallas. So just to recap exactly what we're talking about here, it's the Stars have a non-binding letter of intent with the city of Plano for a $1 billion state-of-the-art arena and entertainment district. Stop me if you heard that one yesterday on this show when we were talking about a state-of-the-art arena and entertainment district. This time, it is at the old shops Willow Bend Mall site. I say old, there's still technically shops there, but it's maybe shop at Willow Bend at this point because it's pretty much empty. The Valley View Mall site where the Mavs are going, that's truly empty. There's nothing there. So a $1 billion state-of-the-art arena and entertainment district there, signed a non-binding letter of intent with the city of Plano. It's on the city of Plano's council agenda for Monday for the first public discussion about all of this. The city of Dallas, the mayor and city manager issued a statement yesterday. They said, it's non-binding. We're still fighting to keep them. They've been in Dallas since '93. We'd like them to stay here. That's bunkus. That's done. That's what comes out of the south end of a cow that's facing north. There's no way. The Stars are headed to Plano.
That's a great phrase, by the way. No, so I drove. I live in Plano, so I drove past Willow Bend. I drive it past it all the time on the toll road going back up north. Yes, it's all my fault. You can blame me for dragging the Stars closer, but closer to me specifically. Driving past it, it's probably the first time I've acknowledged that area since I moved back down here in 23. It has been fading for a while. For Plano, it makes sense just try and revitalize that area, right? My question, Cole, and if we could pull up VO6, because I want to get into the nitty-gritty on this and what has happened to the NHL. We did this with the Mavs, I think, a while back in terms of their recent NBA stadiums and the taxpayer split, right? Most recent NHL stadiums, this is dating back to 2017. All four of these are right around that same time frame. T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, $307 million cost, entirely privately owned. Climate Pledge Arena, Seattle. It was a redevelopment of an old building that was around the Seattle World Fair back in the 60s, but it was refurbished for $1.15 billion. That was entirely private. UBS Arena, which is the most expensive of these, $1.5 entirely private in New York, which makes sense because New York is famously anti-taxpayer funding.
UBS, the new one for the Islanders?
Islanders, yes, that is correct. Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, built in 2017, roughly $863 million, but 62% of it was private. What the Stars are trying to do here is take a $1 billion enterprise, but put most of it, $700 million, on the taxpayers. And that's kind of my question, Cole. When you look at that split and how radically different it is from recent NHL stadiums, what's your main takeaway on that? And was that something the city of Plano was willing to take on?
I think so. We wouldn't get to this point if Plano wasn't willing to take that on. $700 million is, the lion's share of a $1 billion arena complex. Now that $1 billion cost might go up a little bit, so it may be more like half, but still, it's a huge amount for public dollars to be putting forward on this. Not to get too in the weeds here, but there are ways that Plano could do this that don't necessarily mean that money is coming from parks and infrastructure and other things that citizens of Plano use every day. They could put a hotel motel tax in. They could put a rental car tax in. They could issue bonds for the infrastructure that taxpayers would then have to pay the interest on. But, putting all those kind of nuances aside, if you live in Plano, this is going to be something that you're going to be footing the bill for. That's one thing that I'm going to be watching at the Monday council meeting is just how much pushback there may be from council members or the public to this. I was up at the shop at Willow Bend Mall yesterday, talking to folks just walking in and out. There's a gym there. There's a Crate and Barrel still. Folks I talked to who live there were like, 2 thumbs up. We love it. It's closer to us. We are supportive of making something out of this big space that, as you said, has kind of faltered in the last number of years. This is a redevelopment that's going to be advantageous for the city and for the region for decades to come. It does come with a high upfront cost, though.
Cool. Yeah. I want to ask you a bigger picture question, like a Metroplex question, even though you are just a Dallas guy. The fact that, I mean, you pointed this out. Both of these professional sports teams are not just building an arena, but they're trying to build this entertainment district. These entertainment districts are going to be separated by less than 10 miles, one on the right side, one on the left side of the Dallas North Tollway. When you think about DFW as a whole, from as far south as the Metroplex goes to all the way up to, I don't know, like Prosper, I think maybe there's some places even further than that.
We're working
at this
on the
point.
Geography. Here we go.
Yeah. East to west, like this is a giant Metroplex that I think has Mavs and Stars fans that extend to all the edges of it. For any of them to have to go to these 2 entertainment sites that are within like a 10-mile radius, what do you think that does from a inclusion perspective? Do you think it's, one, sustainable? Do you think maybe it's almost a little bit of, what's the word when like man eats man? Or like, is it like eating itself? Are they
cannibalizing?
Yeah, are they, thank you, man eats man. Are they cannibalizing each other because they are so close geographically?
Here's what I would say. Right now, they're in the same place, right? I mean, the Mavs and Stars play together at the AAC. So, they're in that same location now. Now, your point about the entertainment district, it's going to be really interesting. Both of those teams are now in competition to have the better entertainment district, right? Who has the stuff that people want to go to more when there's not a game on? So that is going to be interesting, especially because these 2 areas are so close to each other. In terms of inclusion with the broader Metroplex, look, we have seen so much growth heading north of Dallas in the last decade or 2 that a lot more people live up that direction. A lot fewer people live south of 30 than live north of 30 in the Metroplex. And so this brings these 2 teams closer to more population centers and more money, importantly for them, in those areas as well. Does that mean that fans who live in downtown, fans who live, in Fort Worth, and fans who live south of downtown Dallas are going to be bummed because it takes longer to get there? Does it mean that they're going to go to fewer games? Almost certainly. But does it mean that folks in Plano are going to go to more games? Yeah. So maybe it all comes out in the wash.
I guess right now with Victory Park being, I mean, the AAC was built in 2001, right? That's when it opened. And not even 25 years later, it's about to, or at least we're finding out that after 3 decades of operation, its 2 biggest tenants are no longer going to be there. And I think just from a sustainability perspective, like if these arenas only have a shelf life of what, max 30 years, do you think it makes sense for both the Stars and the Mavs to be separately creating these things? And then, oh, by the way, do you think that they are in fact going to be able to generate the amount of revenue to then pay them off over, if it is just 30 years of a future that they have?
That is the $10 billion question, right? Is if these stadiums arenas only have a shelf life of 30 years, what do you do 30 years from now? And where do you go 30 years from now? I think the teams say we see dollar signs in the meantime.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem for 30 years down the road. We do have Jason Whiteley, our WFA senior political reporter, joining us now as well to weigh in on all of this as the Stars and Mavs on consecutive days are dipping out of downtown Dallas. I'm curious your
Jason's-
perspective just on how back-to-back this has been and how difficult this probably is, especially for the leaders of the downtown area that certainly wanted this to go a very different way.
Yeah, listen, this is without exaggeration, this is an existential issue for the city of Dallas. No question at all. The city of Dallas, and people listen to this and say, oh, no, what are you talking about? The Mavs are still going to be here. At the end of the day, everyone I'm talking to says, listen, the tax revenue hit that the city of Dallas budget is going to take when the Stars leave and these other corporations leave, because they've already announced they're leaving. Yes, there's still a chance that the city could work out something. But if the city hall cannot work that out, the city budget is going to take a massive hit. That means fewer police officers on the street, less potholes filled, maybe less trash picked up. This is an existential issue that I don't remember in 20 years of being here that this city has really ever faced. And, you guys are talking about the shelf life. Michelle, you're exactly right. The American Airlines Center, y'all been to other arenas and stadiums. This place is still in fantastic shape. Mm-hmm. It may not be what a team owner wants, but it's still in great shape. When I walk in there, I'm like, it's hard to believe this building is the age it is. But when a team leaves, they leave for a generation. They leave for 25 or 30 years. And the question you asked, Michelle, about, can they make enough money? Now, if the Stars go to Plano and Plano's going to write a check for $700 million for the Stars to build this brand new arena there at the shops at Willow Bend, this could fall back on the taxpayers in Plano if things didn't go well enough. Plano has figured out what to do. Plano is excited, and it should be. But we're going to have to wait and see how this unfolds with the Stars going out on their own, with the Mavs going on their own. The Mavs, of course, have plenty of money in the bank to handle this if they had to.
To the point about them going to Plano, though, because we're talking about, Andrew brought this up earlier, $700 million worth of this billion-dollar price tag is evidently going to be Plano's responsibility.
Right.
Dallas has 1.3-ish million people. Plano's got like 294,000 people. That's a very different per capita spend. Now, I know it's not necessarily going to all be coming directly out of their pockets per se. I know that there are ways that they can massage this at the very least, but that's a very large sum of money for a much smaller town to have to pay for.
Yeah, and also, if they did, if they do go, and it looks like they are going to go, there will be increased sales tax revenue. So there will be money coming in to pay these bonds off, or however, they're going to write this check. But the things I keep seeing online is, it makes sense for the Stars to go up north because all their fans are up north. There are fans in Oak Cliff. There are fans in Waxahachie. There are fans in Fort Worth. There are fans all over the place. They're not all in Collin County by any far stretch. And then the other thing, I was talking to a city official this morning, and the city official told me, where do you think these employees who work at the American Airlines Center come from? They don't live in Collin County. You know where they live? They live in Pleasant Grove, Oak Cliff, South Dallas. And how do they get there? They take DART.
Yeah,
they take the train. That's how they get there.
I was going to ask, and either Cole or Jason, maybe Cole, whoever wants to answer this, the DART thing has been a big question mark, especially for these northern suburbs. So how does that play into all of this?
Well, and we saw Plano kind of go to the brink of potentially leaving the DART alliance not that long ago in the last few months. I spoke with a senior official at DART this morning who says that they are going to be issuing a statement later today because there have already been ideas floated about, well, could we put a people mover train from the Silver Line that goes to where these new arena sites would be? So we should have more clarity on that in a little bit. But to Jason's point from a moment ago, and some stats to back it up, if the AAC feels like it's still new and fresh right now, well, when your two biggest tenants have already said they're planning to leave, I think the next 5 years we may see a change in how it feels when you walk in, right? Like upkeep is no longer as important for these two teams as it was when they didn't have another place they were planning to go. And second, to the point that you made about workers, this is some data I scrounged up overnight from a City of Dallas economic impact study about the AAC in Victory Park in 2023. So it's a couple years old, but I think probably the numbers, or at least roughly, still hold true. The complex itself, so Victory and the AAC, have about 12,000 workers annually who are are there, right? And the arena itself makes up about a third of that with 3,800 workers. And all of that, plus all the money that's being spent there, is about $1.7 billion in direct spend, about a fifth of that from just the AAC. But if you take, the two biggest tenants out of that, the ripple effect for the Victory development goes way down too. All of that's money that Dallas is no longer going to have. And it's money that, Plano is looking at saying, oh, can we get a big lion's share of that?
I guess. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just add one thing. I don't want to be a naysayer to Plano. Kudos to Plano. They're working their tail off to get this deal done. They've been working on this for months. We had the mayor in the studio here, January maybe, and on the way out, the mayor said something. Walking down the stairs, right outside our door, right here. Walking down the stairs, the mayor told me, "Watch, Jason. Watch what happens in March." And I'm like, well, what's going to happen in March? And he just kind of smiled and walked down the stairs. I said, I'll stay in touch with you, Mayor. So here we are. It's a few months delayed, but that means they're working on this. So kudos to them. The problem is Dallas. Where have y'all been? Where has City Hall been? And everyone I'm talking to, I've talked to a number of former high city officials here who say, where has the mayor of Dallas been? Why hasn't that individual worked harder?
Well, didn't the city of Dallas, though, basically already kind of cast their lot in all of this when they backed the Mavs in the lawsuit? Like, the moment that happened, the Stars must have been inclined to go, all right, you're going to pick their side in this? Because this thing got ugly really fast between the Mavs and the Stars.
It did get ugly really fast. But when you zoom out and look at this here, y'all should have seen, when I say y'all, the City Hall should have seen this coming years ago. You know your lease is going to be expiring, right? With the people who are in your American Airlines Center that taxpayers approved and voted for and got built. You know when that expires. And once Mark Cuban sold that, the first thing you do is get on a plane and fly to Vegas and say, hey, what can we do to keep you guys here? Or what can we do to make you feel more at home here? That may or may not have happened. I'm not sure that happened by elected officials in the city.
To the point of cannibalism that we were talking about earlier, part of the mutual aspect of this from the Mavs and Stars, they never played on the same night. Or if they did, it was an afternoon game and you got additional revenue.
Those were very rare, yeah.
Exactly. Those are so rare. So, like, it's beneficial for both sides that you're getting foot traffic constantly, right? Now they can schedule games on the same night. If the Stars are relying on people from the Plano and the north side of town to go to their games, and the Mavs have something down the street, that's going to eat into it. As much as it got nasty in the legal side, it's going to get nasty in terms of fighting for foot traffic up north as well.
I just realized I'm way overdressed here for you guys now.
No,
I should wear my T-shirt
this
here.
This is the best dressed anybody has ever been on this show.
This is way overdressed here. That's a great point. When you look at what the city of Dallas faces right now, there's no way it's going to. Let me back up for a second. For those of you who may not remember this, Victory Park used to be a Superfund site. You guys know what a Superfund site is? It used to be a railroad area that had so much toxicity in the dirt. When they decided to redevelop this in the mid to late 90s, they had to scrape off like 2 feet of dirt because it was so nasty. And no one could ever believe them being able to turn Victory Park, which was railroad tracks, into what it is today. So you have billions of dollars invested here. I don't see a way that the city of Dallas lets this walk away. Now, that's not to say it's not going to happen, but these are still option agreements they have open for 30 days. And even let's say if the Mavs say, oh yeah, well we can still we're going to stick with Valley View. Thanks, Dallas, but no thanks. What's the penalty? $100,000, $200,000? I mean, that's a rounding error for the people who own the Mavs here. I think, and everyone's telling me, there are still back channel negotiations happening to try to give the Mavs and the Stars a shot to stay here. Now, what are they going to give away to make that happen?
By
the way, you did come appropriately dressed for the funeral for downtown Dallas. That's
black on black.
Black on black, yeah. You fit the bill.
Can I ask one more? If they don't do what you're talking about, and they're not able to make either one or both are,
which is the likelihood.
Yeah. If they leave, bigger picture, like you said it earlier, this arena, these games, these teams are people magnets to Dallas. And if the big arenas move outward to suburbia, like Dallas already, the Metroplex, DFW, is basically a compilation of suburbs. And it kind of loses the fabric of an identity, like the identity of the city. And I just wonder, with this continuing to expand outwards and losing the one kind of final remaining, like, come to downtown Dallas fixture, what does that do to the city, to the identity of Dallas? I guess, do you see this having bigger term implications when it comes to just how Dallas fits into the bigger, like, country
Metroplex.
picture? Well,
Yeah.
I mean, like, big picture.
U.S.
Dallas right now is a legitimate player on the national stage. I would argue probably the biggest player in the state of Texas. I mean, I know Houston's obviously, like, got oil and gas,
Houston's
but
got their own thing.
Yeah.
Let's forget the 713. That's all right.
but I mean,
No, you're exactly right. That's why I said this is an existential issue for Dallas. But as Dallas goes, everybody else goes. Coppell, Frisco, Prosper, everybody else. So Dallas has got to remain strong. However they're going to remain strong for everyone else to benefit. Now, people listen to say, oh, but, there's corporations, Frito-Lay, and everyone else is all over the place. True, but the economic engine is two things. Number one is DFW Airport is the number one driving economic engine in this region. Number two is downtown city of Dallas. People will say, oh, Fort Worth is too. Fort Worth is huge and it's growing, and it's doing a heck of a lot better than Dallas is right now. But Dallas has got to remain a center, and everybody, right, left, Stars fan, Mavs fan, who is in charge, says that and agrees with that too. The onus is now on Dallas City Council to figure out how to do that, and they've dropped the ball.
Yep.
And I would just add to that, Jason. I would just add to that two things. One interesting fact from Visit Dallas: people who come to Dallas as tourists come to Dallas. The number one tourist destination that they come to Dallas for is Fort Worth. Right? So that's the number. They come to Dallas, they book a hotel in Dallas, they say, I'm going to visit Dallas, and then the number one thing they do is go to Fort Worth. That has to your point of Dallas goes, so does everything else. People are still coming to Dallas, and it's lifting other parts of the Metroplex at the same time. That is imperative that continues to go, continues to happen in that way. And the other thing that I'll leave you with is something that someone in the know in Dallas and in kind of the Dallas politics world told me yesterday as the Stars news broke, is that he said Dallas is now the suburb. And that flips that whole thinking on its head. And the onus to flip that back now is with the city of Dallas.
Dallas is now the suburb.
that's
But someone mentioned it yesterday. It's like Dallas is becoming closer to what LA is, which is when you think of LA, you're really thinking of Englewood or you're thinking of Hollywood or something along those lines.
True.
It's not downtown. It's all of the suburbs and trying to figure out where the real money is in all of those facets.
That's so true.
I have one more question for these two guys. So when the news broke on Monday about the Mavs, I had that thought at the time. I said, okay, so the Stars will stay. Because the whole fight between the Mavs and the Stars was, we don't want to share. So if the Mavs are like, okay, we're out. So in my mind, I was like, okay, so the Stars will stay. Was I dumb in thinking that? Was this already happening? Was it too late? Was the die already cast?
We reported a month or so ago that Plano had an offer on the table for the Stars. I know that was 100% because of what I just told you a moment ago about the mayor leaving our studio here telling me, even though Plano didn't admit it at the time, a city council person mistakenly told me that. So yes, I don't want to say it was naive to think that, but this has been in the works. This was in the works. I still don't think it's over yet, though. I don't. What I'm going to be doing on the political side, at least, is watching the next 30 days. Both of these things, and Neiman Marcus on the side in downtown Dallas, these drop like bombs in 48 hours, right? Is there another one to come?
Yeah.
But I'd also wait and see what happens in the next 30 days because there are enough people who have enough money in the city of Dallas and enough investments who are freaked out about this. Phones will be ringing. Phones have been ringing, I do know, from quite a few influential people who are not in politics but control it.
But we talked about this before. I think we brought either of you in. All of the land around the AAC isn't owned by the Mavs and Stars. It's owned by Ross Perot and his people. Like, that's part of how this all went sideways 30 years ago. If they're trying to create these new places where they can have that 365-day-a-year revenue, there's no way for them to do that at the AAC, right? Like, unless Ross Perot decides to play ball with all of this. Like, maybe that's the one avenue by which they could save this thing, is if he says, all right, you know what, I'll sell all this to one of you two, and you guys can have all this, and then they can create a reasonable facsimile of what they want to do elsewhere.
I'd say two things. Number one, they're landlocked. Yes, you're right about that. But number two, there are other deals that Dallas could throw out there. Dallas could say that, for every single concert that comes through here, Stars, if you stay, you get 25% of the concessions. You get a quarter of everybody who buys a seat to go see Taylor Swift, whatever it might be. There's a lot of other ways to throw money at them, so they don't have
Jason,
to build a building.
So Jason, to that point, because I'm interested in your expertise on this, do you view either of these announcements or both of these announcements from these teams going to Valley View and going to Plano as opening offers that Dallas can now counter? Because I viewed them as, we're moving past those plans.
Yeah, I view it as the door is about to close, and you got one last shot here because everything we've done in the past 6 months or a year, and the lack of leadership from Dallas City Hall has really exposed the city here, and the door's about to close. That's the way I view it here. The deal's very close to being done, but that door's not quite closed. And that's why I think watch the next 30 days, see what happens. Nothing may happen. These deals might get closed, and the teams might move. But I wouldn't yet write Dallas off. Forget City Hall. There are way too many people who own too much. Hillwood, Ross Perot Jr., all around there. Way too many people own too much, who've invested too much over the past few decades to let economic drivers like this just walk away.
Yeah, we got to hit a break, but we could do the whole hour on this. There's so many tentacles to all of this. Cole Sullivan, Jason Whiteley, thank you guys both very, very much. Your expertise in this space is invaluable, so thank you.